We're going to start with primitive forms using chalk. And I guess I'm going to have to look over my shoulder once in a while to see what it is I'm doing. So let's start with a cube, a mat, and then a high gloss cube. And by the way, some of you really need to work on your line quality. I think there's only one or two people in the class who are building up their line this way. You know, you don't want to do that, right? That shows a lack of confidence. And you want thick, thin lines. You want to be able to do page after page of thick, thin lines across the page like we did the first day with regular lines. You want to be able to do thick, thin lines. Okay, chalk. I'm going to use colors that I don't like because I don't want to waste good colors on this demo. So these are Prisma pastels. They don't make them anymore. But you got Prisma. So where did you get those?
That's in right there.
Okay, well, maybe you can.
There's the last one.
Okay, so these pastel sticks are not all equal softness. Mine are pretty much all soft enough that I can get the color off just by rubbing it on the paper like that, and then I get the color that I need. Now I'm going to use, this is easy because it's a cube, it's straight lines. I'm going to use pieces of paper to mask. You won't always be able to do this, although you can cut masks with an X-Acto knife. I'm going to gradate this dark to light. See how much easier that is than using markers, right? And then the number 2 side.
Can you use an eraser on it or not really? That's the
Good question. We'll come to that. I'm going to use a piece of paper again, and I'm going to create a little white space in between those two. I didn't get quite enough chalk. Need more chalk. And I'm doing this chalk rubbing on the same piece of paper, which is not a good idea if you're going to turn that piece of paper in. Actually, the value was pretty much good enough. So I don't have enough value change now after the second one, so I'm going to come back and put more value on the first one. And I want just a little bit of gradation value on the top. Now the eraser, yes, you can use the eraser. Oops, that's my eraser box. What are you guys whispering about back there?
Price of pastels.
Huh?
Price of pastels.
Oh, price of pastels. You guys are telling any good jokes or something, we need to hear, the rest of the class needs to hear that, right? Okay. Okay, so you can erase this chalk that went over the edge. And to be honest with you, this technique is pretty much going out because of use of digital, but it's still, I think, easier to learn going through this step. There's a chance you won't be using it in your work. What do you think?
It's beautiful.
Thank you. The rest of you? Maybe encouragement, right? You guys, I know you don't like it when I only find stuff that's wrong with your work. Okay, so
We're used to that.
we need to, do a glossy one. Am I still on the page up there? Because I think it's down this way? Yeah.
Nope, you froze it. Just freeze on. Just pause.
Oh, I hate this thing. Last semester, I've actually made a little thing to put over there so that wouldn't keep doing that. Terrible ergonomic design here. Okay, so you saw me fix that bad line over here with the hot spot on there? So, shoot, now I got this ugly brown, and where am I going to find an ugly brown marker? I mean, I have an ugly brown marker. I have to go with a different color. Semi-ugly. Okay, so we're just going to do the same thing we did with the marker cubes. We're going to put reflection on here.
Oh, I thought it was saying freeze on my camera. I was like, what?
Does anybody have any tape? I'm going to tape this thing over there. I don't have any tape with me today.
I got some.
Yeah, that'd be perfect. I'd like to get my hands on the designer that did this thing. Some Korean guy.
You just autofocus.
Huh?
You just autofocus. You zoomed in.
Because I put this thing over the top. You see what kind of trouble designers can cause. Let me put this on a separate piece of paper. So, if your chalk is too hard to do that, and some of your chalks may be, then what you're going to have to do is get an X-Acto knife. I know the Prisma pastels, some of the colors are too hard. And then you have to gently scrape. Is that showing up on there?
Yeah.
Scrape the powder off with an X-Acto knife. And I think you're going to find some of your pastels will work fine without doing that, and some you're going to need to do that. Okay, how do I put this gradation on?
Start right from the top to left.
Yeah, good. It's not quite the right color, so it's not as warm of a brown. So here's what you do with chalks. You can mix colors together, just like paint. Let's see what I got. A little bit better, but still overpowered.
Aren't you supposed to like put baby powder or something into it sometimes?
Who told you that?
I don't know. I think it was on the video of someone that we
Robert something?
yeah, he mentioned it.
Yeah, people do that. I never found the need to, and I can show you.
What does it even do?
Makes it smell good. I don't people do that, a lot of people do that, and I could never figure out what for.
Baby powder.
Yeah.
The baby powder fills up the tiny little hole in the paper.
It's just to make the smoother gradation, I guess.
Isn't there a spray?
Okay, well, I think I get smooth enough without it. Bring my eraser.
If we use a marker
I'm in
over.
bad shape because my mother died a couple of weeks ago, and I can't find anything without her. She always have to find something. I guess I should try the baby powder, but you know what? Without baby powder,
Looks like it's working fine without it.
I got hired by General Motors before I graduated. And when I got there, I got put in Studio X working directly for the vice president of design. With no baby powder.
If we use marker over pastel, is it gonna damage our marker?
It will fill up your marker eventually, yeah, and it'll make the marker not mark, but then if you just go to a clean piece of paper and run the marker on the clean piece of paper, chalk will eventually work its way out of the felt tip of the marker.
Same with whiteout. Or whiteout, destroy.
Well, whiteout, you put marker over whiteout, you can never really get rid of the whiteout, you'll still see it. It'll be
I mean, like on accident though, if you accidentally put the whiteout, it'll. Can you get it off by doing that? Probably put on another piece of paper or?
No.
No.
No. So I got the, I put the mask on there a little bit in the wrong place, it's not where it belongs, right there, that white edge.
Can you use the hotspot with that? Do not do it.
Well, if I had, I could just change the drawing to make that look more reasonable. That almost fixed it. E45. So I'm gonna put my color core in here. And shadow core or dark side. If you're gonna erase and you wanna put chalk all over it after you erase, then you should use a kneaded eraser. If you use a pink pearl, you'll probably tear up the nap of the paper to where it won't look good when you put chalk over it.
If you use normal eraser,
What?
if you use normal eraser, mess it up.
Yeah, mess up the paper. Dark to light, close to far away. some of you, your reflections just look like kind of random lines. You know, it needs to be a little bit more than random. You know, you don't just do that. Some of you, your reflections look like, you know, worms going back and forth. You don't want to do that either. I would have saved a lot of time if I'd used a marker that had chalk. Oh, you couldn't see the color mixing thing, huh? So you can see that's way faster than with the markers. And it's smoother. Now, if it's not dark enough, you can, there's a couple things you do. One, you can go right in there with, directly with the chalk, but you have to be careful you don't end up with lines. And if it's still not dark enough, depending on your makeup of your skin, I have oily skin, so it works. I can go back over that and put some oil in there from my finger and make it darker. This stuff that I'm doing here is almost exactly the same thing that's on those car drawings there. It's just that it's car shapes. There's a few more subtleties on those cars that I haven't shown you. So I can't see the line or the edge between the cylinder part and the flat part, so I need to go back in with pencil or a pen or something. I could put a white line on there like we talked about earlier. I could put a dark line on there. One thing that we can start talking about, this is subtle, but colors up there are quite a bit different than what I've seen here too. What I see, I have now a different color here than I have here. And that makes sense because what's reflecting on this end of the cylinder is coming from 180 degrees from what's reflecting on here. So it's very likely to have a different color. Like I could be reflecting those windows on the end, and I could be reflecting this wall on the side. So it's not common for it to be the same thing on the far left and on the far right. So you can change color.